right, we are live. Welcome to Chess Castle, Minnesota, Thursday Nighter, 90 plus 30 tournament, October. And we have a new guest commentator. Very lucky here to have International Master Nubair. So, Nubair, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello. Thank you. I'm International Master Nubairshah Sheikh from India. Right now, I have three Grandmaster norms, and my rating is 2418 with a peak rating of 2460. And let's have a look at the entertaining games which are going on.
Perfect. So, yeah, we actually are. So, we're tuning in halfway through the games. And so, two games are actually done on boards one and two. So, we're gonna take a look at those later, but I guess we can start with those. Yeah, let's just look at those full games. They were on the camera feed earlier, but the camera got rotated to boards, three and four now.
Yeah, I just
So
wanted to give a shout out to the result between Pooner and John, which was won by Blomer John. And we'll come back to get this game to later, as you suggested. And the game between Michael and Zager ended in victory with for the white player here with this was the final position. So low games, and so let's see from the beginning maybe. So this is
yep. So
between
this is board
Kuvarna.
three. This is board three on camera. So we actually have live camera feed here on boards three and four, and this is board three between Nathan Hoover, National Master, and Torfy. I'm sure these guys have played each other several times.
Sounds good. He started with the king pawn opening, but then just moved to the bishop c4 variation. Okay, so far so fine. F4. Yeah, this is another interesting line, but this allows black to stop white from castling. So it comes with some pros and cons. D6 knight. Okay, he didn't went knight f3. He just went for f5. So the idea maybe probably is to go g4, g5, but this could also be very, very dangerous for white's king in future.
Double edged.
A6, trying to save the bishop.
Okay.
Was played. Now bishop
You're breaking up a little bit. Maybe we want to reduce the quality of the. I guess.
h4 and opinion are probably going to get g5, and if black gets g5, bishop g4 will come up, queen will move, and probably black can just castle long, and it will be a good position for black. But instead of doing this, Nathan decided to go knight b8.
You you are breaking up a little bit, so maybe just try to adjust your Discord stream quality down to the lowest or something. It might be. I think it might be on my end. But here we're gonna just readjust here for technical difficulties and come right back. For those resolves, if not, we'll try another solution. But yeah, we're just gonna go back into the games. I think the introduction worked fine, so we are just gonna go back into the games from scratch though. So this is happening on board three, and this is Nathan against Torfy. So this is happening on the closed camera board for the audience, and we're just gonna start from the beginning.
Yeah. So Toff is playing with the white pieces here. Hoover replies with the king pawn opening. Goes bishop c4. And usually the idea is to go f4, knight f3, and try to be a little bit aggressive against the king. And in return, black gets the uh, this active bishop and prevents white from castling. So it has some its pros and f5, now maybe bishop g5, g4, g5 is going to come in the future. H6 would be a good idea here to prevent any kind of bishop g5. But a6 was played with the idea of b5, and maybe also to prevent any kind of knight f4 so that the bishop could be saved. But this here again is important, and go something like g5 takes, and now something like g5 takes, and if we get g5, probably bishop g4 in future, and black would be absolutely fine after long castle. But we see
Um,
after h6, bishop h4, we saw knight to b8, like a upper piece, and yeah, maybe something like this. Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah, so here he's got a mass of pawns, but white is up a full bishop here, and white's got their own bastard with rook behind it. So this is kind of interesting. My,
yeah, like there's no way to stop the a pawn from queening, but at the same time there is this g and h pawns which are going to be pushed like g5, g4, or h3 at some point. But it's really important, like how what black plays is, because g5 is a mistake. Now white can just go to king e5, and it's just like there's no way to stop the pawn from queening. But we see, and maybe if previous move instead of g5, if black would have played king f6, that would have made some sense, because then the g5 was threatened. Can you go back to a move, please? One
yes.
move back. Yeah. Yeah, back one move.
Okay.
Yeah. So when g5 was played instead of g5,
Yeah.
just king f6. So now this blocks the king from going forward like king e5. And now the threat is to play g5 check, and king, let's say king goes to e4, then rook g4 check. And if king goes to e3 or f3, then rook g3, rook e4 check. And now white drops the rook. Rook e4 check, rook g4 check, king goes down, rook g3, and now the a3 hangs, and black is probably winning this. So king f6 was necessary, but in the game we saw g5 directly, which allows king e5,
Okay.
and now probably white is just winning this game.
It's just
But let's
unstoppable.
see.
Okay.
Yeah, a6, h
So
g3, bishop
so raise
c6.
here. Okay.
I don't understand. Maybe he could
Yeah.
have just gone a7, but there was a g2 idea, and if queen, then rook e1 check with some g1 threat. So makes sense. Bishop c6, h3, and now uh, probably he got scared again for a7 g2, but then he missed that he has rook g3 check, which was no, not here, a7,
Okay. So
a7,
Rook
yes.
G3 was played in the game. So
Yeah,
A7
once the
was.
g2 is played,
Yep.
let's say g2, and just give a check, rook g3 check,
Okay.
and then you make a queen.
Okay.
Whenever, okay, king, let's say h6 over, I mean, if we go to h6, we can again capture a pawn and again come back to g3. But if he goes to f8, it just wins. Just queen, and it's game over. So
Either
this
way.
check was really important, this intermediate.
Okay. Always got to watch
And
out
probably
for
this was
king safety.
missed by Robert.
Even when
Maybe he
you
could have,
even when there's no queens on the board and you're not going to get mated, you still got to watch your king safety with your king getting checked, picking up these pawns in the end game.
yeah, maybe black can improve this variation if we go back to the position where he played g2 in the
Okay.
same variation. Yeah, so maybe here he can start with rook e1 check to make things better instead of g2. Yeah,
Yep.
rook e1 check. Now let's say you go to d6, king d6. Now say g2, and let's give a check. Rook g3, king to f6, and now okay, just make a queen. And I don't find anything better than g1 queen. Okay, you can give one more check, but it's nothing. And probably queen h8 checkmates. Queen h8 check, king f5, queen h5, king f4, and queen f3. Queen h5, king f4, and queen f3, or rook f3, both mates.
Nice.
And this was could have been the beautiful finish to the game. But we see drama there, and And we had rook g3 directly played in the game, rook g3 a7, and now black cannot lose this. So rook a3 probably only move, make a queen.
Yeah, and it is interesting
Yeah.
because Robert is actually known as a endgame aficionado, and Daniel's a lot lower rated. So this is pretty nice that Daniel's ended up on the top side of the endgame.
Uh, and also it's very in like entertaining for that black player has just less than a minute from like half an hour or something, and white player has like 1 hour 20 minutes. So and and the speed with which white is blitzing out moves, I think is not good because white was winning this. White can just think a bit, calculate lines, and put some trap or put some threats and just win this game because black had very little time to react. But as we can see, white is playing very fast, so this helps black actually to survive or just that's the best for the black.
Yeah, this is a common thread for Robert. So Robert's a kind of he plays dubious openings every week. He plays extremely fast, but
Hmm.
he's got a his peak is almost close to master actually. I think 2187.
Oh.
And yeah, so he's kind of on a comeback and just kind of playing for fun.
Hmm.
So he probably actually would be a lot higher rated. And
But now again, black looks losing to me because instead of black could have played actively with king h6, king g5 instead of going to king f8, king e8, and now there's just no counterplay. I
yeah,
mean, might just come back to d4, pushes c5.
so where did it first go wrong here?
Probably when he went king f8.
Yeah,
I mean, h2, c4. And maybe just start moving king g6, king g5.
so better strategy just kind of come up, try to escort this
Yeah,
pawn to at least make sure
and
you secure the draw. But
and maybe at some point he needs to block the diagonal with e5, e4, or f5, e5, e4. So whenever king captures the c5, you can just push those pawns and secure a draw. Let's say maybe king d6, king f5, king e5, and just go e5 or something. So maybe king d6 here.
okay,
Yeah, and let's say king f5, take the pawn, c5, e5 perhaps. And now the idea is to play e4, so white must play something like bishop h1 or bishop h1. E4 will land into king f4, king d4, so we should play king f4 first. And now the idea is to just play f5 followed by e4, and the pawns are unstoppable. So it will be simultaneous queening. Let's say king to d6 or something, or d5 or something. F5, maybe e4. Just
yeah,
e4 is
the
e4,
pawn
and
the pawn would
it's
run
it's
into
black who is faster.
here though.
Yeah, king d5,
He can't.
f5, yeah, f5, and now it's simultaneous queening. c5, e4, and so on. Just push the pawns. c6, e3,
Hmm.
c7, e2, like queen, queen, and probably this is draw after queen c7 check, and just grab the queen c7 and grab the h2 pawn.
Yeah, table base showing a brutal win here though. Um,
And which position?
yeah, when they were, I thought, um,
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
C,
uh-huh. After e4, there's a king d4.
yeah,
King d4 wins.
exactly. King d4.
Yeah, e3, and there's a king d3, and black is not in time to get king e5 and capture the c5 pawn.
Yeah, because if he
So king
tries,
g3 and just c6. Yeah, this is just
yeah,
lost.
he needs too many moves.
King d4 gains a tempo. So maybe black needs to be more accurate, and it was not definitely easy to figure this out in less than a minute.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what happened in the actual game. So
I
here,
think the h2 is a critical mistake. H2, where he played h2. So bishop a8, I think he needs to just start moving king g6 first off at the first instance. Just play king g6 here itself
okay, and main,
because h2 is not helping black. Just go king g6.
okay,
Yeah, king d. I mean, okay, c4 or something like that. And now just go king g5, king d6, king to f4, king takes c5, e5, Bishop goes to h1. And now again the e4 has problem with king to d4. So in my opinion, f5 needs to be played. King to d5. And if I'm not wrong, king to e5 will draw because king e5, c5, f4, c6, f6 takes, c7. This is, I need to show this line. This looks like a draw, but actually white wins. So king e3 here,
Okay.
king takes e5. It's very funny. c5, oh, so f4, c5, f3, takes, bishop f3, king f3, c6, h2, c7, queen, and this draws. But imagine in the same position, it is white to play, and there's a queen a8 check, and you lose the queen. So this just matter for one tempo by which black is saving this game.
Mm.
Probably this was the way in which he could have drawn this or survived by directly going king g6 immediately after
Okay. And this is actually
going.
so Robert is actually well. Let's just kind of continue because we do actually have a lot of games to cover. So
Sure.
we want to come back to this one, but
Yeah,
this is
let's
actually
just
what
go through
happens to
the
Robert
main.
a lot. He could have just closed this out earlier with the solid opening and spending his time, but uh, he usually kind of lets it go, lets it go both ways and closes it out in the end game anyways because his end games are usually a lot better than most of his opponents. So this is a pretty
Hmm.
common scenario for Robert actually.
And he has won this right game. Yeah,
Yep. And so the bishop kind of stopped the pawn, or I mean the bishop's stopping all
and
the pawns, and this pawn is queening with the king. So
absolutely.
um, and the bishop can always just the king and pawn endgame is hopeless because the bishop can just buy
He,
extra tempos, control extra
yeah.
squares. So
And more importantly, all the pawns are on the same diagonal, so bishop alone can prevent all the pawns from going forward. So PC, there's h2, f4, and let's say e5 would come, but the squares like h1, f3, and e4 are on the same diagonal. So it doesn't matter there are 3 pawns or 4 pawns on one diagonal, bishop can single-handedly control all of them, and sooner or later king will capture them.
all right, well let's jump to board one because
Yeah,
we actually have John in the chat, so his game is over and he's joining us now. And he had the blowout win against Connor. So let's just look at the full game and see what actually happened here, opening to finish. So
sure.
we
So
had
it was Nimso Indian,
nice Nimzo here.
converted into Queen's Gambit.
Okay, and we got kind of target
Okay.
tower style, or
Yeah.
um,
Bishop e7 takes. With pretty common theory. E3. And now usually here black should not play bishop f5. And something like c6 or castling is pretty common here.
okay,
Just protect the pawn or defend your king, make castling. Bishop f5 has one drawback. Now white can just take and go queen b3 or queen f3 like moves. So the d5 pawn is very, very weak. b7 pawn is weak. And white just spotted this on the spot. He took on f6
yep.
and queen b3.
And it looks like this is totally in John's preparation because he's not using any time, and same for Connor.
Mm.
So yeah, Connor, I think too. I think he does have a kind of big record against John, so maybe he's just willing to take a little bit of extra risk by getting punished for that. So
Yeah, so black just drops the pawn. C6 is not good because you lose more material, queen b7. And now if you play knight d7, then you also lose the c6 and probably d5 too. So here black decided to gamble a bit, went castle, giving up the rook with the hope of
yeah,
trapping. Okay, nf3 is not so good. I mean, he could have just taken the rook, but maybe he was a little bit worried about queen coming to b6, followed by knight d7, which traps the queen.
so maybe queen
Queen
c.
b6 or queen b6.
Oh, sorry,
Uh,
e6. My sorry.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can just take the pawn there.
And now exactly. And now the queen is stuck on a. There is no clear way that how he's gonna save it. Queen b2 is also threatened at the same time, and probably long castle is the way here. Knight d7, and then you have to take the two rooks
Yeah, and I think Connor would definitely. Yeah, you think take back with the
and
knight
just play
or
bishop d. Sorry, yeah,
and bishop.
bishop d3 and okay, white should be better here. Just knight f3 next, and white is in complete control.
Sure.
So this could have been the right variation, but he decided to play safe, knight f3, because anyway, uh, there's no point taking on 8 so early, as if he plays knight d7, he drops the c6 pawn, and that would be totally lost for black without any counter chances.
Yeah,
So rook e8 was played,
yeah. It seems kind of like
bishop e2.
didn't he have a chance to maybe protect his rook here, but
Yeah, but then he dropped the c6, and maybe he thought instead of losing 3 pawns straight away with no counterplay, at least try to get a queen and have some hopes.
yeah,
So a little bit psychological game here by both the players. Bishop e2. And bishop c8 was very, very bad because now he can just take on it. This drops completely the
because
game
tempo on the b8 knight too.
on the exactly. And also you need to play one more move moving your bishop. So it just takes on 8,
Yeah, you can see here
queen b6.
they're basically playing blitz, so you know I can
Yeah.
I could definitely kind of criticize both players' time use, even though John's totally crushing here. But hey, I guess you're seeing the moves are
But
winning. But I would still, if it was me, especially playing against
mhm.
Connor, higher rated player, I would be tanking a lot harder here on um, all these moves.
And now the interesting point to note is after castle, bishop to b7. No, bishop b7. There's a knight a4. And now the queen is attacked. So if you take the queen, knight b6, and white remains an exchange up and an extra pawn. So he needs to play queen b4, and now you can just take on a7, and it's white who's winning. So there's no square for queen, and probably for this reason, black went knight bd7 in the game.
Wow, that's some nice tactical vision. Seeing knight a4,
Mhm. So
because
now
yeah,
he's threatening probably with moving the bishop, but okay, still there's no threat because e8 hangs. So this is completely lost. Just rook c1, knight a4, and probably that's what happened in the game. Yeah,
he played knight a4, queen c7.
and just rook c1.
Okay, and now
Yeah,
he's gonna
and the
go
rest
with
is just easy, just double up and yeah, trade pieces, bishop b5, whatever.
yeah, and he can never. The queen's kind of pseudo trapped there, but he can never go to win it, or else he's just going to escape on a7.
Actually, I would say the queen on 8 is stronger than queen on c7 because it keeps eye on the e8 rook always. And yeah, he also
Yeah,
got the
and I
a7.
guess even in the worst case scenario, you're going to get two rooks for the queen, but not going to happen at this point.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Okay, so pieces getting some good coordination here, and okay, queen's escaping. Now just up the full rook,
Yeah,
and yeah, has to trade some pieces. Okay, trades queens. Yeah, and at this point,
and
just
just
up a
grab.
full rook conversion. So we're just going to kind of go quick here.
Yeah,
Or he's actually okay. So how did he? He
he
just
just
got
okay. You just took the bishop. Yeah, doesn't matter. Like when you are so winning, doesn't matter you take which piece with what, and just trade and push pawns, make a queen, sign this push. It's end of the day.
still his bishop looked kind of passive here, not really doing much anyways.
Yeah,
So
there was no need to take on aces, but yeah, maybe he just wanted to flex a bit.
yeah, and you can definitely see that later in the game. Actually, you think Connor might be upset. That's why he's playing out so long. But actually, this is just Connor's general policy. He doesn't resign.
Hmm.
So John, I guess, having a bit of fun with it, under promoting to some knights, and finished him off with
And a very beautiful match in the end. Probably the award for the best mate goes to John.
yeah. Congratulations on your win against Connor, John. Very well played game.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right, let's get to
Maybe
board.
let's jump to the next.
Yeah, let's get to board. Okay, let's skip past board two. We'll come back to that, and let's get to board three. Or did we already? Yeah, we already did this whole board. Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe we can go to the board numbers 6, where players are down to white players down to Kevin's down to 7 minutes. Let's have a look
or
at the position first. And then,
or sorry about that. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, Kevin, board 6.
All right.
So
Okay. Andrews.
B4. Wow.
Yep, Andrews B4 main Polish guy. So this is what he plays every week. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, it's low rated section, so these guys aren't prepped to the teeth.
So more fun, yeah.
But at the same time, he knows, they know if they're playing Andrew, they're getting the Polish. So I'm sure some of these guys have at least some ideas.
Mm-hmm. So E5 is absolutely great, and just play knight f6 castle. I
Yeah.
mean, and this typical idea was even shown by the former world champion um, Kramnik when Magnus played knight f3 b5, and he just played e4, giving up the pawn. And this is what he has done. So this is very typical idea to just take the b4 pawn, put knight on f6, get d4, d5, make castle, and you are better. And in that game, Kramnik did beat Magnus Carlsen. And after that, I believe Magnus never played something like b5 on the move on. And that
Finally,
was a classical game in
really,
2010 when Magnus was already world number one with 28-30 or something.
well, even Magnus can get punished if he's playing with too much contempt.
He, exactly.
But all right, so C4 getting break in, rook E8, and okay, let's look at the clock times too. Okay, Andrew's still
Yeah,
completely in prep, and
blitzing out.
Kevin, was in prep and now starting to take his first think here, so kind of showing thinking on his own.
Mhm.
Bishop
And
E2.
usually the idea is to play c5, knight c6, and it looks like Kevin was very well prepared for this one.
Okay. Yeah, and
Queen c2.
that's what happens in a club when you get repeated opponents and you know what's going on. They probably played
Hmm.
games before. They probably played several games before. Maybe similar lines. Analyze those games, even if you're not into opening preparation. I think you kind of naturally get some good opening preparation just via repeated opponents and analyzing your games.
But I really like the move queen c2 because now it's not that easy for black to continue because let's say you play something like knight c6, which looks very, very natural here to develop the knight, and there's a bishop to d3. And now it's not clear that how black is going to defend the h7 pawn because if you play g6, there's a long-term problem on the diagonal. And with your bishop on b4, it looks unpleasant to have a position like this. And maybe the best move here is to just go knight f6, giving up a pawn, so that if you take on f6, queen f6, bishop h7, and then just move the king to h8 or something. And now he needs to play knight c3 because a1 hangs,
Okay.
and probably g6 wins for black. So maybe this is what was necessary by
Bobby
Kevin
Fischer
to
style.
exactly.
But
But like black, white also needs to see all these lines. But in the game, we saw queen e7, which was not so great, as it's important to develop your minor pieces first before developing the major ones. But still here, I mean, it's double-edged. Like knight g5 is possible, just knight c3 is possible. And it's an interesting battle for sure.
yeah, I couldn't really imagine, even if the tactics were working, to give away my
To-
glorious bishop here, just for
Like
a little pawn.
exactly. So maybe knight g5 if you want to continue with the attack. And at times there are ideas like h6, bishop h7 check, king goes to h. Okay, if you take it's game over, queen h7 is coming. So king
Yep.
f8 and and moves like a3. Sometimes this could also be dangerous because the c5 pawn hangs if you move the bishop, and hg5 probably here. H takes g5, take the knight. Yeah, queen c5 and and it's highly maybe queen e7 is there, but you can just take on e7. A rook takes e7 or something. Bishop f6 because otherwise you lose a piece. And now just move the knight to yeah take it uh, to probably f3 because if knight e4 there's a king g7 and now still there is a f5. I'm not sure if black white can save the piece. Just f5 traps the bishop. Knight h4 is necessary.
Yeah, same theme.
rook e5, and still the fight for who wins the piece goes on. Probably f4, g4 will probably g4 will save the bishop, but still black is clearly better as he can just take the, let's say, g4, and he just takes, and black has got double bishops, safe king, and and again f5 is threatened, so white needs to again save the bishop.
And the structure's
So
fixed. So interesting. It's
okay,
making
okay,
me
we came out. Yeah.
it's making me never want to play bishop takes h7 because everything's failing unless you're pulling the bishop back out quickly.
Yeah, so we came a long way from the original game, but all these possibilities were there in the game. With black played queen to e7,
Okay.
bishop c4. Sounds good, solid for both the players.
It's both players completing their development.
Yeah.
Kind of battle lines drawn. Okay. It looks like he wants to play knight d2.
Mhm. However, I would say the preparation worked out for the black player because he got really active position
Mm-hmm.
to play and fight for.
Preparation working against the Polish? I can't imagine it. Just kidding.
Mhm.
But I'm sure Andrew will drop the Polish at some point. But always good to have your namesake.
Probably if he listens to the stream and figures out that even Magnus got punished for playing something like this, probably very soon he will check out that game and drop this idea.
All right. So
Quincy. Okay, so as we just discussed, the taking on e6 was not so great because the moment white gives the light square bishop, it's not so good. At least allow black to take on c4 so that you have d take c and some control over the light squares.
mm-hmm.
But taking was not a great idea in my opinion.
Now this square is a little weaker. And
Yeah,
so what?
and
What
also
are
the d3,
because the big difference is the
d3
pawn's
wants
not
to
here,
come.
right?
Yeah, and also the d3 becomes a weakness now.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you need to play d4.
So rook's gonna bear down on this later. Um,
Hmm.
and this kind of follows that rule: to take is a mistake. Usually, a lot of times, just unprovoked captures, developing your opponent's pieces to a more active square, plus allowing them to blink will do
Maybe,
the same thing. You know. So.
yeah, maybe he could have played a4, a5, trying to gain some space on the king side, queen side.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a good idea. Just push the a pawn as much you can, a4, a5, a6, and could have created some weaknesses over there. And then the f rook would slide to b1, and some play on the b file. That would have been a good positional plan for white here.
Okay, but
Okay, let's jump to the game because I think the game is going very fast. Yeah, let's go
okay, so he
quickly to the live position.
traded that off. Okay, so he developed
Hmm.
the rook, made a central break here.
Yeah,
That makes me a little nervous that rook eyeing the queen, but okay, and starting to
yeah, he got
take over in the
yeah he
center
got
there.
tactics in time. Yeah. Okay, d5. Yeah, 27, rook e1, and now white is very very pleasant, having a very pleasant position.
And totally took over
Probably
those
e5 also
squares.
comes in. E5 was possible there. Yeah, and it's just winning. Yeah, just d6, e6, whatever you like to play. This was just crushing, but I don't know why it was not played.
Mm-hmm.
He just decided to get the rook first, and maybe it's fine because anyway, black cannot really prevent e5.
Yeah, it wants every piece in the attack, just in case he
But he
miscalculates
did got
something.
knight.
And now he gets the
Yeah, he did
blockade
get
though.
knight e5. Mm, takes everything.
So gotta kind of take your chance to keep your initiative rolling when you get the chance, and then you could always bring the rook in.
Yeah, or maybe it was still possible to take on e5 and go f4. Just
Mm-hmm.
take on e5,
Right here.
bishop e5
Okay,
with
sorry.
white. Yeah, f4,
And they keep rolling.
rook goes down, e8, and again e5, and the pawns are still again rolling, and knight is again no good square.
Mm-hmm.
So and also knight d6 wins on the spot, for instance. So this was a direct win for Andrew, but he decided to play rook g2, which is little. not so strong. Let's put it like this.
Alright, he's trying to
Yeah.
defend his bishop. So,
Mm-hmm. But he got g6 now, and the knight needs to be moved.
yep. So he's
And this
lost
is
his
where
strong
black
knight,
makes a comeback. Mm-hmm.
and now he's getting a total blockade on these squares.
Absolutely.
So this is
Again,
a
I'm not sure about this move. This looks like a blunder to me because f4 e5 is coming again. He could have played with queen takes e5. So
yep,
f4 came in.
yep, and that's what we see in the game.
So queen. Luckily, black doesn't. Black is not dropping a piece because even rook is hanging thanks to the rook d2 move. So he will play probably queen to b8 or d8 or whatever. But positionally, it's just lost for black
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
pawns are really strong.
He just played queen d7.
Yeah. Even if you play something like rook d1, rook d2 to d1, the knight has to move, and then knight e4 will come in, and the same tactics like knight d6 or knight f6 at some point. So the idea of queen d7 is to get b5 and start rolling the black pawns at some point. So maybe he can consider something like a4 here to just prevent the b5 idea.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of just anchoring this loose rook somehow, so I can make him make his knight move.
Yeah, or it would be great to just play rook b1. So you prevent b5 and also threaten to take on f6. You move the knight. Let's say I don't know which square. Everything looks bad for me. To black knight at 7. Maybe it's safe there. Knight
Totally
e4.
dominated.
Yeah, knight e4, and it's probably game over with knight d6 coming in.
So
So a very tough position for black with 1 minute on clock.
this is a pretty impressive game by Andrew playing for the central squares throughout the game. I think that's something that you want to focus on a lot, or I try to focus on a lot more in my games. Is of course you want to fight for the center in the opening, but I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of players they fight for the center in the opening and then they kind of get involved with a flank operation or they get distracted and all of a sudden the opponent takes over some central squares and their position gets really difficult. So I think this is a perfect example of that happening. Um, and then yeah, you see how dangerous your
Stick to this
position
game
gets.
because
So
for a few more minutes and we'll probably go to the next one.
all right, perfect. So let's jump to Miles against Norm because we haven't covered it at all yet.
All right.
Um, so Miles, last month's tournament winner, and Norm is
Miles is down to 4 minutes.
the usual house players. So Miles definitely has a big rating advantage here, but
Okay.
Norm definitely has had a few upsets lately too and can hold his own. So Norm usually plays Stonewall or in this case Kale, but he plays kind of system openings. So this is pretty per usual for Norm.
Mm-hmm.
And Miles also very system opening player. He plays Nimzo Larson every single game, white and black. He's starting to play some
Well,
e5. He's starting to play some e5, and he's starting to play some. He's branching out, but Miles is definitely Nimzo Larson structure guy. So I think these guys are about to have a structure battle with both sides playing their favorite systems.
yeah. So this looks like a good game. Both players are playing what they know. Yeah,
Okay,
sounds good.
so here's the first big, from what I can notice, variance from a lot of normal games, a lot of blitz games at least.
Yeah,
The
typically the
course is
idea
playing
is to
rook e1 or
go
a3.
exactly rook e1, queen e2, just trying to get e4 at some point. But here he went bishop d2, which is dubious because bishop is not really got improved from c1 to d2 as it controls no squares.
Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting point. You got to think about what your pieces are doing when you develop them. You know, maybe superficially, hey, I'm getting it off the back rank. I'm connecting my rooks, but this bishop is kind of a flexible piece that could eventually get developed out to a more distant square later once you organize e4, and it's kind of a flexible piece. So don't want to just autopilot your whole development in your opening. Got to kind of think about where your middle game is going to.
Exactly. Knight d7, and now probably black has completely equalized this one.
Okay.
Okay. Still
sense.
no castling for black.
Okay, yep, delaying
Like
casting a while here.
I believe it was better to castle first for Miles, but he
Just
he
castle
just
here.
uh, yeah, just castle and then you decide to play c5, e5, or whatever you like. But it's very important to castle first.
Yeah, so a little bit rushed here, especially when
Yeah.
Norm's totally completed his development. So, um, but yeah, lashing out with c5. So
Okay.
Miles maybe needs to respect the rules of development a little bit better. Uh,
Yeah.
let's see how this if he's going to get punished for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Let's see.
knight takes
Like
c5.
22.
Do you agree with that recapture or any
Yeah,
bishop
yeah.
takes?
Knight c5 is perfect because you get knight e4 in the future, and you prevent white's e4 forever.
Okay,
So that's perfect in my opinion.
they coordinate together.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I would have loved to castle. I mean, even here, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
every position you give me a chance as a black, I would first castle and then think about it the most.
yeah. Because otherwise, something's going to happen here when you're not expecting it, or something's going to happen.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess I guess there's no pressure on the e file, but still, I mean,
Hmm.
you're not even thinking about queenside castling ever. And it's not like he's got a flank attack bearing down on you, so like why the delay? But all right.
Just a moment. So before,
Yeah, I like this from black too a little bit. When you got these coordinated knights, this reminds me of the
Mhm.
Nimzo. I like to, a lot of times my plan is to coordinate these knights and then maybe jump in here anyways. But I love to just wait until white plays b4, make them make that pawn move.
yeah, and now the a6 pawn hangs because of rook c8. So now just take on e4,
Okay,
and, and the a6
takes it.
pawn is gone.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's coming
So,
with
so
top
that's why it was not important to play rook c8 and castle first,
yes.
so that you don't land into bishop b5 check in future, and basically not lose a pawn or something. So let's go forward quickly.
And I'm looking forward in the game, and it doesn't look like his king ever made it to castling. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's going to happen. So if you don't castle at some point, usually you don't castle for a long time, and then at some point you have to pay for it.
yeah, because then the position gets critical. You don't just have a spare move to castle.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, yep.
Knight d4
Bishop,
is also coming.
yeah, bishop. He had to step king f8 here, so I guess what's going on here tactically if he blocks the piece.
Knight d4 probably is the case. Or just simply bishop. Oh, bishop d3 is also very nice tactic here. So you play bishop to d3
Okay,
as white. And if it captures, it's already a blunder. Bishop d3, queen d3. And now the d6 hangs. And for rook c6, there is a b5. But luckily, there's a knight c5. And black saves the piece. Um, I believe there would be a way in which white will gain something. Okay, knight d4 probably. Instead of b5, white can get knight d4. And if rook moves, then there's knight e6 at least. And d6 hangs.
and that's working because it comes with check to the miserable
Y-
queen.
Yeah. And I
Okay,
was wondering if there's any tactical trick possible, but let's say you try to play something like instead of rook c8, let's say you try to put a trap and play knight b8 or something. Knight c6 would be a blunder because of bishop h2 check.
ouch.
Uh, and yeah, but this is just a trap. And here, if white plays queen b5, black loses on the spot because of king being on e8.
Mm. Yeah, 90 plus 30 is not the place to play hope chess. So um,
Yeah. So in the game, we saw,
okay, so king f8.
yeah.
Now this rook's got some problems developing.
Mm-hmm. Rook d1, g5,
Yep, now he's going for the pawn storm by necessity,
knight d4, rook b2,
and
f3.
this looks a bit offsides.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm black, I'm nervous about this guy getting trapped. But Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Queen
even this is
f1.
fine. I was wondering of queen d3 because queen d3 gives more strats, like you instead of queen e1.
Yeah.
If you put your queen on d3, okay, I want to play bishop c3, but apart from that, I would just love to go knight e6 at some point and just grab the d6 bishop with bishop c3 idea.
Yeah. But after the queen's not protecting. Yeah. Because now
Yeah,
we
so
got.
queen is more. My point is just queen is more active on d3 than e1.
Nice.
So so queen e1 was played in the game.
Okay. G4.
G4 and bishop c3 probably wins on the spot, but looks like the white player was scared for something like bishop c3 here. Probably was scared of something like rook g2, which makes nothing. I mean, it's just running, but he just got scared of this. Probably king g2, g takes f3, and probably the simplest way to win here is king f1, and queen h4 is coming next. It's game over. But there could be some dangers like knight e4, for instance. And if you're careless and go knight e6, check, f e6, bishop h8. I don't know who is winning after queen g5 because it looks really scary. Now the point is not only queen g2 but the b5 bishop hands, and this is tough to defend.
The check.
Yeah, rook a2 is, defends the check, but queen b5 you cannot defend. Both things you cannot defend at once because the pawn on f3 is very, very strong, and probably this wins for black because after rook a2, queen b5 check, king g1. There is again probably queen g5 check.
Also want a queen.
Yeah, but queen g5 looks stronger because now if you play something like king to f1, there's a bishop a6, game over. Bishop a6 and GG's. And so you need to play king h1. And after king h1, there's simply f2. And rook f2 and f2 is a mate, double checkmate. But rook f2 is a check for black, but okay, black gives a double check when he gets a check.
Hmm.
This is one of the very rare occurrences. When you get a check, then you have a chance to give a double check.
Yep. Well, double
And
checkmate would be beautiful,
yeah.
but okay. Well, he's not falling for the traps, playing a little bit safer.
Mhm.
So got trades on c6,
And
and
he loses the h2 pawn in the process. Queen h4, very good move, very good move.
intermezzo. Not caring about
But
that.
I'm surprised he did not play bishop h. So there's one funny variation here. So if you play bishop h2 after queen h4,
Yeah.
queen h2, queen c6, and white has queen e5. So double attacks seals the game for white. For this reason, black decided not to play bishop h2. So there were lots of traps and tactical tricks in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting how this rook end up here. This I wouldn't want my rook offsides like
Yeah,
this. I mean, it feels good on the seventh for a second, but man,
the rook has definitely lost the path.
uh, okay.
So
Well,
this was
it's
played,
getting
okay.
tactical here.
But he gives the rook for free on b2. But again, the white player got scared to take on b2
Yeah, just full rook.
because g of 3 is coming,
He's down to five
and there
minutes
are
and
some,
46 seconds too. So this might have been, yeah. This is fun. I'm not. Yeah, he's forking the rooks. So
yeah, indeed
okay.
it was scary, but I believe
Oh,
if uh,
looks like
they're just repeating the pose.
it looks like
Yeah, looks like a draw.
rating the Miles is milking his higher rating to get
I
the draw
believe this
here.
is just winning for white if he plays queen at 6 check.
Yeah, so it's
He
still
just needs
still
to give
live,
queen at 6.
still live game here. So it's a chance, but I got a feeling Norm's going to take the draw. We'll see.
Yeah, the way he has played, he just played safer throughout the game. So probably he would be happy with draw. But if he plays queen at 6, he just gets the h7 pawn, like king slides away, just take on h7, and you're getting rook to c1 next. And if once the rook comes to c1, it's game over. So,
Yes.
so there's a possibility to play rook g7, and now rook c1, rook ac1. You move the queen anywhere, doesn't matter much. Whatever. Bishop c3 is my plan next, and everything hangs. The g7, the b2, the d6, and it was just winning for white. So, uh, okay, we see draw by repetition in the actual game.
Okay. So strong game by Norm, and Miles sneaking out with one. So still on the path to potentially winning another tournament. But that would have been quite the upset. So a nice game by Norm.
And also, this was winning. Like, if he could have played queen d6 on the last move, like, yeah, he had bishop c3 check, and it wins for white on the spot
All right.
in the current position. Yeah. Just bishop c3 check, and white is a piece of.
Yes.
He just gets the queen, and it was just winning for white in multiple ways, but uh, sorry, Norman decided to go for the perpetual.
All right. Let's cover Dane's game. Or did we already cover this whole game? Um,
All right. So in this game, Grunfeld was played, and this was another interesting game where we could see white attack to really nice. So this is all the opening cherry, 92 castle, queen c7. So we have seen Fabi playing this a lot of times with black pieces. Rook c1, rook d8. And okay, the main line goes like bishop f4 instead of f4. And there are moves like some bishop e5.
using the
And
spin.
yeah, and if I'm not wrong, there is more like bishop g3 or something. And yeah, it is some weird cherry. Yeah, takes knight g3, queen f4. Mm.
Right, knight e5.
Knight e5. Yeah, all this. Yeah,
It reminds me of the Catalan, except for using a different type of pin.
yeah.
Those
So
knight jumps.
this line was popularized by Fabi back then. I remember his games from 2015 or even earlier. He used to play this.
Okay, so Dane plays f4. It's only played 5% of the time. So
Yeah, it's not so common because your center is um burning and you are just making even worse. Now bishop g4 just wins probably. Some material, I mean. But df5, wow.
yeah, Dane kind of likes to go all in on the attack.
And now I think it's important to go knight e5.
Use that pin,
Hmm.
attack the bishop.
But there's a bishop d5, and I think it's very important that black finds e6 here.
Yeah, you can't allow, since he's about to take here. You can't allow this pin to persist.
So white takes on e6, let's say. fe6, bishop b3, and c4, and that's the end of the bishop's life. c4 just blocks it, and probably knight will jump to d3 at some point. And bishop c2 is still not over, but maybe a possible way in which the game could have continued.
Yeah, so you don't actually have to win the piece to end a piece's life if you just can kill it with the pawn structure. So,
Yeah.
all
So,
right.
okay, anyways, let's just see the game because game was really beautiful. Takes on f5, definitely a very bad move. Now the king is just open, exposed.
Yeah, and these light squares are just asking for pieces to come in.
Absolutely. Takes, knight a5,
Yeah, I feel like
queen to d6.
I
Yeah.
feel like in my various I'm kind of an opening nerd, and I feel like in my various opening prep, whenever they play G takes f5, a lot of times I just don't even recapture it. I'll play like knight h4. They'll take
Yeah,
again. I'll play knight f5 and just mate them. Um,
it makes total sense. But right now, the black has still got one good piece up, and that is on g4. So that prevents black from losing instantly.
okay, and now even taking another piece away from the defense of the king. So it's no wonder this attack is on the way to fruition.
Yeah. So bishop d3 was played simply.
Okay, kind of
Queen d7, maybe some
breaking
idea
this and
to
still continuing to attack.
yeah, capture. Now black wants to capture on d4 and win a pawn. So rook f4 comes in, defending the d4 and attacking g4 at the same time. Very good move. Takes. And I think the rest is very simple because you got two bishops and black even opens up the position further. So this helps white a lot. Rook g4 and it's
Yeah,
going to be a checkmate.
yeah, this is helping the bishops, and so you can see why. I mean, I think we're seeing this for a second time today. We saw bishop takes e6 for kind of no great reason, e5 for no great reason. It's tough to play a position where everyone you want to do something, and if you can do
Mhm.
if doing things is but to me, yeah, bring the knight back maybe is doing something,
I think it's
but
already very late for black to start thinking about saving this game because the king is totally exposed and there is just no defender. Main defender pawn on g6 is missing, so
yep.
it's going to be a checkmate with
So
f6 or bishop h6.
this is really coming down to g takes f5 kind of green lights the
Making the
attack and makes it okay. Rook takes g7. Always very
yes,
nice. Dark square is looking totally like Swiss cheese, as the car would say,
absolutely.
full of holes.
And just bishop g5, bishop f6 coming next.
Oh, so okay, it just pushes the pawn.
Yeah, now queen f5, bishop h7. Everything wins.
Bringing in everyone to the party. This rook's like, how can I
Yeah,
get involved? Come on, guys. But not necessary. Okay, so
yeah.
pretty
The
beautiful here.
beautiful game, queen h5. Yeah. So today actually a lot of contenders there for a beautiful checkmate award.
So
So
and just a throat bone pawn here. So yeah, wow, great attack by Dane.
yeah, maybe if you could jump to game between Kevin and Andrew, he's down to 55 seconds.
Yes. So
And the
here,
position looks,
where do we leave off last?
yeah, we left up at around when he got d4. Okay, he got 94, 96.
Okay,
He did play rook b1, that's impressive.
okay. He found rook b1, breaking the pin.
Yeah, 97,
Knight's totally
94, and
passive.
probably,
Okay,
yeah, we left it here
very strong.
saying, yeah, knight d6 is coming and just winning.
Nice, good prediction.
Okay. hmm Maybe he could have played something like h3 here because there's just no need to take on c8 or e8. I mean, you can take them anytime. Maybe just simply improving the rooks on b1 or like something like h3 would have been better.
Okay, or
Say, let's say queen goes to g3 or something. You can go rook e1, rook f1, h3, g3, queen g3, and something like rook to f1. So on queen e3, just go rook f2. So, and okay, you just want to take now on c8 and go f5. So it will be lead to checkmate.
so that's
Just
that's
take on c.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where's Black go here?
Yeah. But in the game, he just took and played
Okay,
d6. It's also fine. You are, I mean, but you're just winning in multiple ways.
I feel like that's an
But
instructive
this,
point here though. Like, okay, once he forked, you got this fork isn't going away, so
hmm,
you can take your time, consolidate a little bit, um, and then take a rook.
absolutely.
So no need to rush,
Because,
but still
because of
it's
d6,
winning.
he got some counterplay with knight g5 in the game. He played d6 and he got counterplay with knight g5. Not really counterplay, but at least the knight got improved. Knight was doing absolutely nothing on its side, but now it
Nice,
has some
it's
threats.
making a threat. Okay, sees the threat though.
It prevents it. Now f4 is hanging again. You create weakness. Now queen e2 possibly.
Okay, getting this knight anchored still,
Yeah.
but okay.
But for no, oh, he just blundered the f7.
He's
Oops.
playing off increment here, so 30 seconds on his clock. Ouch.
And and this definitely helps white to seal the game. Ah, he just missed queen g8.
He just
Just
had
take
queen
on
g8 with
g8
the
and
queen.
yeah. Okay,
So
queen f6 also is the same thing. So probably this is going to be a victory for Andrew after king at 78.
yep, yep. I guess you can't be too critical when you see a path to victory and it's forcing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, could have snapped the rook as well. All right.
Yeah. And we have a result probably here with white wins. So we have one more game left, and let's jump to that.
Is that which one is that?
Toffee.
Yep. So let's
Nathan. Yeah,
let's do
who
this
are,
from
yeah.
the start because I think we were kind of lagging out
Uh,
when we
yes.
first covered it. So let's just do it from the very beginning. And this one's
Yeah.
actually still on the camera feed, so we can actually see these players playing, and we'll see this game conclude live. And this is our last game for the night. Oh, actually, we do have another
That's
board. We actually have a seventh board if you scroll way down. So we're gonna
mm-hmm.
have to cover the. We got a whole other game we haven't covered at all between Mitchell and Seta. So we got two games left. We'll try to get through them both quick here.
All right.
All right.
So
So here, yeah, we have kind of weird move order, but we're getting to basically a knight c3 Italian.
yeah, we can say so with f4 coming next.
Yep. Yep. F4 main plan. But so this is kind of zero's reputation for white, but still pretty solid. Good way to maybe get black out of prep.
Yes. d6. And now f5. Now white could go g4 or bishop g5 at some point. So in my opinion, it's a good idea to play h6 here, preventing any counterplay.
Do you? And then F5 was a bit strange too. They probably could have just continued with the normal knight F3 development, right?
Yeah, and f3 would have been a normal case with bishop g4 or knight g4 coming in. So there's some line like knight g4. I remember knight f3, knight g4. They play queen e2 or something. There's a bishop f2 check. You go king d1. They go back. D1 d1. You go to back to b6 and something like rook f1. And white is absolutely fine. And the king on d1 is safe. So like, but you need to know all this line, like, because in this line you have to move your king. It looks little weird on b1, but at the end of the day you get some play on the f file with fe5 coming up, bishop f7 coming up next, knight d5 is there. So this favors white.
Okay. But he's going for F5 in the
Mm-hmm.
game, trying to take maybe black out of their preparation too.
Yes.
Okay, so and he actually is. So since he didn't play chase, he is using that square.
Yeah, and now again h6 was important.
Okay, gets it in.
And yeah, bishop h4 and now g5 as well, because when you say a you must say b. Like, you need to prevent it. If knight d5 lands in, it will be very, very good for white. So,
And you don't have C6.
like,
So this is kind
yeah,
of,
yes.
yeah, to me, if we actually jump back here, you know, let me know what you think of this. But he plays knight c3, he plays knight c6. To me, it's like, he's probably going for bishop g5, knight d5 type stuff. When they play knight c3, it's kind of anti-positional. He's not going to fight for the center. I'd be way more apt to make sure I can preserve c6 and maybe fight for the center myself. But what do you think of that?
Absolutely. I mean, that it goes without saying that you should try to get 365 as quick as possible. If you have center control, you will control the board.
Yeah.
So that would have been a good idea.
So both sides kind of going anti-positional here. Knight c3, knight c6, throwing that knight in front of their c pawn because the c pawn can't, in either case, then
Mhm.
fight for the center. So
Yes.
pieces can't really fight for the center. So kind of anti-positional opening by both sides, I'd say. But it's just going to be a chess game. And yeah, clearly a lot of master games and stuff here too. So but ends up with totally locked center. Okay, so we get back to the
Yeah.
game. A6, bishop
Yes.
f, and then he didn't actually play g5. He just jumped back knight
And
b8.
and this is not that great because for knight d5 you're planning to play knight d7, and
Okay,
let's say knight d5, just an example, knight d7, and let's say knight f3 or something, you play c6, and he just captures on f6, captures on f6. and you remain in the pin for like the bishop is going to remain on h4 and queen cannot be moved from d8. So you remain in this pin forever. And let's say he can also play something like c3 d4 at some point,
So
and
why
white
why
is just better.
why can't you g5 now?
Now the difference is after g5 fg fg, there is no more knight back on b8, so that let's say rook f1 or something,
Okay, okay. Let's just say
queen d2 or something. So g5, it's also possible to play knight g5, for instance, and just take queen g5.
use this eternal pin.
Yeah, something like this, or even queen g5 works probably.
Ah, got it. Because this
And,
is still
and there's
because
no way
you
to defend anything. Yeah,
you
probably you have to play rook h4 and you are still in the game. But in general, black is in some danger with g4 g5 coming next.
yeah, we can kind of see. Yeah, you can see me. My intuition was bishop takes blitz move, right? But queen takes pretty nice, showing when you play moves like really slow moves like knight b8 back c6. Your back
Hmm.
rank's not connected yet. These tactics happen. They don't happen no out of nowhere. They happen from kind of lack of development, which happens from moving the same pieces more than once or making pawn moves. Um,
Also,
watching.
the better way to make this happen would be after queen d2 g5,
Okay.
you just take the uh, fg6, let's say fg6, and now you just play rook f1 and it's game over. Rook f1, and now knight e5 is threatened. So, and if you play g5, just take on g5 with the knight.
Okay. So where? Sorry.
G5, yeah, here, knight g5, at g5, and probably now both moves wins, bishop g5 and queen g5. But queen g5 is more stronger, as we could see now after rook h4, queen h4, f6 also hangs, and if knight moves, then there's a bishop f7 check, seals the game, or rook f8 or bishop f7, yeah, let's say, and this would be a checkmate after king f8, queen h6. Even yeah, just queen d8
Okay.
also.
I was thinking it was a
Yeah,
deflection tactic, but it's even stronger.
yeah.
Um,
So everything wins here for white. So that's why knight b8 is not so great in long run.
yeah. So king safety name the game.
Yeah, however, n f3 was played by white, so it didn't matter much as black got c6, but at the cost of wasting two moves, knight c6 and knight b8 back.
Yep. But Nathan's showing he knows how to fight for the center still, but so still, why not do that from the start? Um,
Exactly.
okay. So
Mhm.
he is getting some nice expansion here, though. And so it is kind of, I feel like, paying off for him. So kind of shows, yeah, I guess where did White miss their chance to play critically here? Because it doesn't look like Queen E2 is fully punishing this undevelopment.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to play knight d1, knight g3, and long-term plan with long castle and trying to get g4. So what I can see from Toffee is he likes to play some orthodox lines, but also likes to make some positional slow plans. So this is, I think, a good combination if you could do so. But at the same time, he also needs to be accurate with the tactics. Like he could have just gone knight d5 or took the chance when his opponent played knight b8. Like he could, when you get chance, like for instance, your opponent plays knight c6 and again knight b8. So this is your chance to punish your opponent. But here he lacks this point,
So
and he's slowly moving forward with knight f3, queen e2. So his
this
position is still better, but this would have given him a bigger advantage.
so this was the big miss then, knight d5. Yeah, because I was wondering,
Yeah,
because I was kind of confused on how Black was, starting to take over and get a good position when they kind of played these undeveloping moves. So it looks like it's just because White also kind of matched some slow moves, which allows Black to just get back in. So,
absolutely correct.
okay. And now this bishop's looking a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so make some space.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's knight is low on squares. Um,
Yeah, let's move
I,
forward.
I,
Knight d7, knight d3,
I guess it's coming to
and now
c4
knight
here.
g4 again is a possibility. So he moves queen c7. Knight g4 was an idea. No, no, white's idea is to play knight g4.
Yeah, I was curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming to.
Now let's say, Yeah, knight g4. Yeah, exactly. So queen c7 is important,
Okay, got it. Because this
and
means
yes. And now it's again a new game because now new threats, new plans has to be made by both the players. But still, white is better as he has got the space advantage on the king side.
got this nice pawn chain that's super
Yep.
healthy and controlling a lot of light squares. Still got his light square bishop, so
Hmm.
that's pretty promising. Especially yeah, this castle's later. This square might be weak to some jumps or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking pretty good for white at this point. But still,
Hmm.
black's gonna get their play. Looks like so.
Hmm.
He's waiting to castle. He knows. At this point, maybe he just won't castle because the center's closed. But he's
Yeah, I
gonna.
mean, it's also interesting to see that both the players are not castling because they don't know. I mean, what if I castle short and my opponent castles long? It will be attack on my king. And so both players are just taking their time to decide to castle short or long and making moves like h3, rook b8.
All right, perfect. Well, let's just keep rolling. So we're running short on time. We got one more game to look at. So bishop
Sure,
e7.
sure. Let's speed up this because the game is, I mean, both the players are down to 5 minutes, and it will be
Yeah.
interesting to see what's happening in the live game. Yeah.
Okay. Up and
So
it's
at some point, they
15 minutes.
decided to make short castle and long castle. So both the players are going to get under attack very
Okay.
soon. So bishop d5 probably here. Knight c5 is also good.
Bishop d5 might have been a chance.
Yeah, that
Just
was more stronger in my opinion.
neutralize that attacking bishop. And
Yes, king b1
yeah,
probably
this is
takes
kind of
and
nice though. We got the light square bishop.
yeah, but in this problem is you have to play rook e8 and defend e5 always. If you keep knight on d7, then you can just start attacking with b3 or something. Let's say go back, and if you play, let's say instead of knight c5, bishop d5, already like we take on d5, knight d5, and now white can either play b3 or king b1, but not both of them.
So this
So
this
this
knight was already doing
definitely,
a really good job defending this pawn. So
yeah, and rook can simply come to c8, putting more pressure on c2.
kind of
So
trying to
let's say b3,
kind of tough. But
yeah,
in a
yeah,
position like this, you got to think about what's the best job for each of my pieces, and this piece already has a great job. So you know that's how you maybe can figure that out.
yes,
Because yeah, it does on first glance, just yeah, blitz logic. Of course, makes more sense to win a bishop for a knight if you can, but
yeah. But if
um,
you can checkmate,
yeah,
that's the best thing.
yeah, yeah. Also seeing that
So,
king safety coming in, and also we'll realize when we're playing for at this point, we're opposite side castled, so this is a better way to actually break open lines to the king. Okay,
yeah. Also, the point is that you open the B rook file for the rook.
okay,
So that is also a reason why you need to play bishop b5. So knight c5 is also good, not that bad. King b1 takes. It just you have to spend another move playing rook e8. But then this gives white chance to start some attack on the king side. So he gets counterplay. Takes. And now this is not good because black king is also exposed now, and this could be anyone's game. I already like white because after gf6, rook check, and there's this knight d2 defends everything, and black is still have to defend like a lot of things.
okay. And the game
Okay, he played rook
figures.
c1 first, maybe even makes more sense. But then this gives f5 pawn.
Yeah, so nice, interesting thing here. Yeah, it's nice little improvement, except for the improvement gives them a counter threat. So
Yeah, maybe just knight d2 is simple because you don't really want to give the f5 pawn because it's strong. If you play knight d2 first, let's go back a move. Yeah, knight d2, and for example, if he plays queen d7 now, you can just play queen h5, defending the f5 and also giving some threats already. So
nice.
this would have been better version for white.
Okay, rook c1
Mhm.
wins that
He gives
pawn.
the use of the pawn, gets the a5 one in return.
Yeah, okay. Now he's like playing for the end game. It feels like
Yeah,
incongruent.
but h3 also hangs, so
Uh,
not really sure about this.
Seems like you want to be going for the king, not going for the queenside pawns. But
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you can imagine this rook just assisting this way with the attack later. So
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
I'd be trying to get my queen in somehow. I don't know how, but
That's what you need to do. Just put the queen on the dark squares and it's game over.
yeah. And if even if you gambit, this looks pretty safe. I mean, I guess it's the knight kind of defends. So
Yeah, knight is well placed. But there's going to be e4 coming in, so that's why it was important not to give the f5 pawn. If you don't give the f5 pawn, black gets no counterplay.
all right,
Okay, let's move forward. Rook c5, queen
yeah,
e6, rook okay, knight c4, and probably now e4 is also possible. He just went for the pawn.
we're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna get an endgame.
Yeah,
So
it looks like rook b5 probably, yes. But I don't know who's winning this. It's highly unclear. King c to king b3 is coming, but rook g3 probably. Okay, won this.
yeah, looks like white somehow won.
This
Let's
is
see how it happens.
uh, 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 very, very unclear.
Try to go quick here because yeah, we're not properly analyzing this because we do have one more full game to analyze. So we'll blast through that one at the end. But we are kind of running over
Yeah.
here. We didn't budget our time
Yes.
perfectly.
Yes. Oh
Okay, so
wow,
so blundered
he just blundered. Okay,
blundered the queen
this
pin.
was about to happen because the king was exposed throughout the beginning, and if you just play rook b6, just take on b6 and queen g6. Yeah, drops the queen.
So time pressure blunder. The
Yeah.
happens to the best of us. All right, but
Yes.
let's not neglect this last game here between
Hmm.
Setha and Mitchell. So
Okay.
here we
So
got
it was Sicilian,
nice close
but a close
Sicilian.
one.
Okay,
Hmm.
kind of Moscow style.
Hmm.
Maybe insisting on Rasulimo with a d6 maybe.
Yeah. So this is Grand Prix attack.
Okay, Grand
You
Prix.
try to just take the knight and
Okay.
play for the knight f3, f5 ideas.
Yep. I don't know too much about this because I mean I'm a Sicilian man myself, Sveshnikov, but I play kind of g6 e6 system.
That is better version. And even if you play this Grand Prix attack, it's not good idea for black to play a6 because you lose one more move in this. So when the bishop b5 is being played, just play anything like knight f6, g6, e6, or bishop d7, but not a6 because anyway white is going to take on c6. So it's not a good idea to
Yeah,
play a6.
I don't have my
You
pawn
can
on
play anything.
d6
Yeah.
because I play Sveshnikov, but yeah, I play kind of e6, g6, knight e7, bishop
Yeah,
g7,
that's the way.
play for
That's the right way.
play for d5. Um,
Absolutely.
and then I actually find, it's a little scary playing a Grand Prix, but I feel like it's kind of simple for black because white has one idea and only one idea, f5. So
Yes,
if you just calculate f5 every move the entire game,
you are safe.
yeah. So just no matter what, make sure f5 is in your candidate moves, and it goes a little bit better against the Grand Prix than they hope. But
Absolutely.
it's still pretty scary though. Honestly, a lot of lines you got to find only
Yeah,
moves. You got to
true.
defend. Who likes to
You need to be a
defend?
good defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um,
G3, E6, we need to. And just now he needs to put knight on C4, and white is better. 91, 93, a good plan by Satya.
wow. So really understanding the positional class of the position here,
Hmm. But knight C4 is
using that
okay.
whole,
This
and
is
if you ever play d5, this pawn just becomes extremely weak. So it's hard.
yeah. White could have just played knight C4 at some point. Uh,
Okay, but they play d5 voluntarily anyways. So
yeah, but the problem is now after H4, it's really really bad. H4 is really bad positional move because either you just play G4, G5, attack the king immediately, or do something like knight C4 the positionally. If you mix up things, then it's going to be black who's going to strike because black has got two bishops. And if
but
the position gets open up, you have to
and
pay
it
for the
it kind
consequences.
of just
Yeah,
leaves a hole here, and it's just like what's this pawn even? How's this pawn even contributing? Is kind of the main reasons.
absolutely.
Okay.
So H4 is bad.
Yeah. So is it is this square really important, or is it really just because it's slow that it's so bad?
Um, is the is the wrong plan, I would say rather, because at some point, yes, as you said, G4 is also going to speak. There's a weakness, and especially when you don't have light square bishop, you should not make holes on the line. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so much holes like g4 and all. If you have bishop on e2 or something, maybe it's possible because at some point you can move the knight and get g4 under control. But here, let's say d5 is coming, e5, knight h5 happen, and now you can see this ng3 is also coming, so you have to play knight f1.
Yep. Okay. So now we're kind of seeing a big downside, weak square here.
Mhm. Yeah, and okay, it's still playable, but uh, I don't know, like probably now white is just again in the game, and this looks very, very scary for black. I don't know what happened next.
Yeah. So
Maybe
g6.
f5 was
Wait.
better here. F5, just f5, open up the position, play f5. And now you can find that g4 is a problem. If you take on f6, black just takes with rook, and f4 is hanging now.
Got it. Because you just want to pressure here. So.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe g3 also possible to play rook
Also,
g6.
this is this bishop pretty useful defending this, or would you also maybe want to think about? I guess he's just gonna come in though.
Yeah, but again, rook g6 is coming, so
Okay.
knight
So
f4 is there.
yep. So this is not possible. Plus,
So,
you always get that if you really need it. Although that kind of kills this
so I would
horses.
have preferred f5 over g6 because g6 definitely gives white chances to make a comeback and build a strong attack like g4, knight moves h5. I don't know how why black survived this because after h5, simple threat is to play queen h2. Now just play queen h2 and I don't know how to survive this. This looks pretty strong. And the idea is knight g3 here. I mean, that's really important to say. Just knight g3, knight h5. Let's say black plays, I don't know, rook b8, let's say pass or something. Knight g3, and we just want to play knight h5 next. And it's going to be a checkmate.
Just make sure we keep this file open. Never want to close it.
Yeah, that's probably this was missed by white, and he just took gh5.
Yep. So the file is more important than the immediate recapture.
Yeah, and now look at the beautiful knight on f5.
But still, G file is nice.
Yeah, but you cannot really do much because and there's knight on f5, which is very, very strong. So you have to eliminate that first. So king h8, and he tried to exchange the knight.
All right. So just noticing we lost our video feed. Okay. King h8. Yep. Trade the knight here.
Yeah, takes. Ah, this is not good. Just maybe it was better to take with the bishop because your queen needs to be on g2 at some point.
Yeah, because this is
So, for example,
this is
you
bringing your
play.
queen out of the attack. Your queen wants to get over. Okay.
Yeah, but there's also one beautiful idea. Let's say he played in the what did he play in the game? He played bishop a6, right? After queen takes e3.
Yep.
Yeah, now f5 is important. If you play f5, you still win this. And you just go queen h6, bishop g5.
And then the bishop exchanges and he's
And
winning.
it will be a mate here.
Okay.
So even this works, but for queen e3, the right move was to play f5 for black.
Dark square weaknesses.
Yeah. So I think lots of mistakes from both sides in this game.
Mm-hmm.
h6, king f2, c4. And yeah, now this is very, very good for black. c5, bishop c. Oh, this is very, very deep. He wants to play f6, rook a f8. I like this move. Bishop g5, and so what exactly black is aiming at? Okay, just double, cd4. Maybe instead of cd4, there was a possibility to play queen b6 first. That puts pressure on the d4 pawn, and if he takes now, you get queen c5 followed by the d4, which wins for black. King moves and just d4, yeah. But maybe there's a queen e3 and it's still not winning because h6 is not hanging yet. Maybe it's fine. Queen f8 or something needs to be played here. And again, there's three. Yeah. So it's a game like rook h1, and it's a game again. So cd4 was played in the game. bishop d4, queen e7, maybe eyeing at the queen b4 or rook g5, bishop b5. What's the idea of this move? Bishop e8 maybe at some point. Okay,
Blinks.
takes, takes. Okay, what is this move? Queen c5, rook g6. Okay, and okay, there's a checkmate, and that's why king f3 was played. Okay, got it. So, but okay, he can just play queen d8 or something.
Okay, good tactical vision.
Mhm. Ah, this is not good. This allows d4. Uh-huh, uh-huh. No, no, no. He
That's
could have played something like king e3 and king d4 instead of bishop e3.
yeah. Plus was
So you go back,
this is
a
also
move.
kind of deactivating it too.
Yeah, this is just lost. You need to play king e3 and put the king on d4.
Blockade. Okay.
Yeah, would have been a nice idea. But after d4, I think it's very, very bad for black, white for white, because bishops comes in, queen d5 would come in.
Ooh, come on.
Ah, wait, queen d5, rook takes rook, queen f3, king f1. And still it's not done because it's just a draw yet. So it's just perpetual. Queen f3. You cannot take on g6 because it's a mate. Queen f6.
Okay,
Queen
so
f6, queen g7. So queen f3 and probably just a draw. So not yet in time. King e1 and queen e4 draws.
interesting.
Okay, maybe black can just take on g6. But again, still it's a draw with queen d8, queen g8, queen f6. Ah, it's winning for white. So black is forced to give the perpetual.
Got it.
Yeah.
All
So bishop
right.
e4 was played, not allowing all this drama, just eyeing at the c3 pawn. He just got the pawn like this, but it was not taken. Wow.
Yeah. Take
I don't
and
understand
then
easily. Just
push.
take the pawn and then push it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Time
Okay,
pressure.
d3 was played. Takes, 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 takes. Okay, bishop d2, queen d4, queen b2, yes.
And white.
But still, it's not so clear because black king is also weak.
And it looks like white flagged here.
Really?
Yep. Unfortunately.
Oh,
So
sad for white player because I think lots of things were done by white, and in the end, it's a bit pity to lose like this because now there's a real threat of queen c5, and it's almost impossible to defend the mate threat.
yeah, it was
So black
possible.
needs to be really precise.
Possible DGT error. We don't know exactly what happened because
Mm-hmm.
we're not at the club, and DGT errors do happen. But yeah. Anyways, so that's all the games. Um, Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start. I'm gonna try to troubleshoot before next week so we can get new bear control on the boards, and that I think will go a little will go a little better than me trying to follow his thoughts to the pieces with myself controlling the boards. But we do appreciate you guys all tuning in, and thank you so much for all your commentary. We really appreciate you joining us and commenting on all our club games. Very nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think,
Thank you so much, and apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream. Let's fix this before the next one.
yep, we're gonna figure that out. So thank you so
Yeah,
much, guys, and we're gonna call it here. Thank you. Bye.
yeah. Bye bye.